Ulu'ahe Learning Center right here in Kapolei, and then we'll be followed by a pule, and then we'll start to get into the program. But I want to just thank all of you for coming here tonight. It really means a lot to us. So with that, over to you. Ulu'ahe. Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely beautiful. Now I'm going to ask Pastor Dan Carranza to come up. He's from the Inspired Church of Honolulu. Dan, the floor is yours, sir. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Ooh, coming in hot, coming in hot. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. If you guys don't know, my name's Dan Carranza. I'm the location pastor here for our Kapolei Inspired Church. And on behalf of our senior pastors, Pastor Mike and Lisa Kai, we want to start by saying it's an honor, it's a privilege to be a part of this community, and we look forward to growing further with you all, hence why we are part of this meeting here tonight with you all to hear the needs of the community. So with that, let's open in some prayer. Lord God, we thank you for this such time and opportunity to gather and collaborate for a greater community. We thank you for our mayor, Rick Blangiardi, all the city directors, council members, elects, the church, and our Kapolei community to gather invest, and to bring resolutions to its city's needs. Lord God, we ask for wisdom and understanding to be the pillars that hold our direction. Love, unity as the foundation to our purpose. Give us truth, creative insights, provisional ways that will bring transformation for this generation and the generations and generations to come to this ever-growing second city of Kapolei. Lord God, bless this time, hear our words, and guide our steps. In Jesus' name we pray, and all of us together say, amen. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for kind words. Okay, so before we have the people behind me introduce themselves to you, I want to recognize some of our elected officials who are here tonight. And I see one in the back, but I don't know if Council Member Andrea Topola, I spoke to her earlier today, is here yet. She said she would be. She's not here, but Council Member Augie Tolba definitely is. I see him in the back. Augie. Spoke to State Senator Kurt Favela. He's not here yet. He told me he would be here. Also, is Mike Gabbard in the audience? I didn't see Mike. All right. And then our state reps. I saw Diamond Garcia. Diamond, where are you? Please stand and be recognized. Diamond Garcia. I didn't see Kanani. Kanani Souza, are you in the house? There she is. I'm sorry, Kanani. You're right in front of me. I should have realized that. I'm sorry. I'm looking in the back. Elijah Perrick. Elijah's here. And I know David Alcos is here. David. There he is. And is Rose Martinez here? Nope? Okay. All right. So in the spirit of starting the evening, let me just say, you may or may not be aware, this is our second time doing what we are about to do, and that is to be part of 11 town halls. We might even do 1 or 2 more this year over the next 11 weeks, 1 a week every Thursday night around the island. We're kicking off this year here with you in Kapolei, so we're excited about this meeting. One of the things that we do to hopefully make it interesting and of great value to you is to bring our entire team here. So what's the people sitting behind me who are going to introduce themselves in a second represent either our directors of a cabinet or deputy directors. And they're in the room for a couple of reasons. One, for all of us, this is a journey of learning. Because, you know, what is relevant out here, what is important out here, and I'll talk about the ground rules later, is different than some other places. And we definitely want to know what's important here, okay? And what matters to you. We want to be as relevant in your lives as we can possibly be as a leadership team. The other part of it is, though, for you as a benefit, is that the expertise is in the room. So I'll talk a little bit about the ground rules and a few other things here in a couple of minutes, but I could not be, I'm telling you this right now, I could not be more proud of the men and women behind me because of their capabilities and their commitment and their caring and their really sincere efforts to do a good job. So with that, I'm going to kick it off, Kim, with you, and we'll just pass the mic down. That's what happens when you sit on the end, kid. So it's a little bit like name, rank, serial number, what you do.
That's fine.
Okay.
So Kim Sparlin, Deputy Director at the Office of Economic Revitalization. Rolls right off the tongue, right? Everybody understands what that's about. But we're really here to listen and work with you to create a more vibrant, equitable economy that we want to see and that isn't forced on us. So I look forward to hearing your comments tonight. We're always welcome to hear your comments, so please reach out to us at any time. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Erwin Kawata. I'm the Deputy Manager of the Board of Water Supply.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tony Velasco with the Department of Information Technology, and I'm here to hear concerns and issues that you have with computer issues or networking. Thank you.
Aloha, everyone. I'm Deputy Chief Roddy Vanek with HPD, and we do a little bit of everything.
Hi everyone, my name is Keith Suzuka. I'm the Deputy Director for the Department of Land Management. It's a real honor to be here. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Bugs Baggio. I'm the Assistant Director of Human Resources. I saw a lot of beautiful cars outside when I pulled up, so I imagine several of you really know how to turn a wrench. We have fleet mechanic positions available. And I mean that in all sincerity. Whatever you guys want to do with the city, we need help. Please see Chunmi Araki on the far right, or myself, and we have a whole list of vacancies that you may be interested in. If not you, somebody in your family. I talked to a couple of gentlemen, and they were really excited about possibilities for them. So please, in all sincerity, thank you.
Aloha and good evening, everyone. My name is Denise Iseri Matsubara, and I'm the Executive Director for the Office of Housing. Thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of your evening.
Aloha and good evening. I'm Kevin O'Shea. I'm the Deputy Director of Housing for the City and County of Honolulu. Thanks for having us tonight.
Aloha. Aloha, everybody. Ernie Lau, Board of Water Supply. Mahalo.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kim Hashur. I'm the Director for the Department of Customer Services. Our department includes the satellite city halls, DMV, and public communications.
Good evening, everyone. Lori Kahikina, Executive Director and CEO of Honolulu Authority for Rapid Transportation. It's HART, the rail. We are responsible for constructing the rail, and my partner here is responsible for operating and maintaining it. So any questions about the hours, the holo card, that kind of stuff goes to him, not me.
And if you want to know what's going on in Dillingham, my partner here will tell you. But I'm Roger Morton. I'm the Director of Transportation Services for the City and County. Our department runs public transportation, not just the rail, but also the bus and the handy van. We're also responsible for traffic engineering, for bikeways, I know a lot of people are interested in pedestrian safety, humps and bumps on the road. That's us. We run traffic signals. We do everything transportation in terms of public transportation or street engineering.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mike Formby, and I'm the Managing Director, and I get the honor of working with all the men and women up here. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Krishna Jairam. I'm the Deputy Managing Director. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Aloha, my name's Anton Krucky. I'm the Director of Department of Community Services. We do all the human services for the city. That includes public housing, work training, also elderly affairs. In addition to that, all of the federal monies that come in for human services, public housing and such we do. We also do homelessness and child care. Thank you for being here.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Roger Babcock. I'm Director of the Department of Environmental Services. We take care of your sewage and your refuse. We also have lots of openings as well. If you want to be a wastewater treatment plant operator, heavy truck driver, engineers, we have a lot of openings. CS.
Hello, everyone. My name's Andy Sugg. I'm the Mayor's Chief of Staff. And thank you all for being here. And it was great to talk to a bunch of you before the meeting and get to know you a little better. And we hope that this is a productive night. I'm sure it will be. Thank you all.
Aloha, everyone. Sam Moku, Mayor's Homeless Coordinator. Glad to be here. Aloha.
Aloha, everyone. Lloyd Yunenaka. I am the Executive Secretary for the Neighborhood Boards. And I know Keone Dudley's here, who's a longtime board member. Keone, raise your hand. Any other board members here? All right. Thank you. And by the way, Diamond used to be a board member. I have to give you a plug. But I just want to thank all the board members. Thank you very much for serving. It is really important to us, and you guys do a great job.
Good evening, Craig Uchimura, Assistant Chief with the Honolulu Fire Department. Thank you all for having us, and thank you for taking the time out of your evening for coming down.
Aloha, good evening. My name is Matt Gonzer, and I serve as the Executive Director for Mayor's Office of Climate Change, Sustainability, and Resiliency, really working to coordinate actions across the departments to ensure equity and affordability while we're tackling climate and also preparing to keep ourselves safe in the face of climate change.
Aloha, everybody. I'm Donna Puna, DPP. I'm sure you know what we do, but I'm here to answer any questions, and thank you for having us.
Hey, aloha mai kako. My name is Kehaupu'u. I am the Deputy Director for the Department of Parks and Recreation, and I'm pretty sure you know what we do too.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Carrie Castle. I'm the Deputy Director with Budget and Fiscal Services, and yeah, we're the money people. In our department, we have our Treasury Division, our Real Property Tax Division, Budget, Fiscal Accounting. Those are some of the key areas. Nice to be here tonight.
Good evening. My name is Hiro Toi. I'm the Director for the Department of Emergency Management. I deal with everybody here. We work together to prepare for and respond to disasters.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jim Ireland. I'm the Director of the Department of Emergency Services, sometimes confused with Emergency Management. But we have the EMS ambulance service in our department. We don't want your business, but if you call 911, we will come and help you. We also have the CORE team, which is the Crisis Outreach Team, recently established about 2 years ago to respond to homelessness. And then probably for the next year or so, we have Ocean Safety Division in our department, which is all our lifeguards. But as the mayor recently announced, that will be becoming its own department for the ocean safety lifeguards at our 40 towers across the island. Thank you.
Aloha. My name is Ka'ili Trask O'Connell, and I'm the Executive Director of MOCA. MOCA is the Mayor's Office of Culture and the Arts. And I have the privilege of promoting arts, promoting our artists, culture, and everything that I can throughout Oahu. Thank you for having us today.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ian Santi. I'm the Deputy Director of the Honolulu Emergency Services Department.
How's it? I'm Haku Millis. I'm the Director for the Department of Design and Construction. We get to work with all of the other departments up here on their construction projects. Thank you for being here tonight.
Good evening, Tracy Kubota, Deputy Director for Department of Enterprise Services. We have the auditoriums of Blaisdell, Waikiki Shell, Honolulu Zoo, and of course our 6 municipal courses, of which, please come, Ewa Villages, West Loch, Makalena. Thanks for being here.
Aloha, Warren Mamizuka, Deputy Director, Department of Facility Maintenance. We're looking for 14 mechanics. So after you see bugs, we'll interview you and hire you on the spot. Thank you.
Yeah, that's good. I like that, Warren. Maybe that's the deal we should make. If you want a racetrack, you got to sign up tonight. You got to promise to work for 5 years, and we'll call it even at the end of that. Look, thank you all for being here. Let me just say one more thing about this group, because they're an exceptionally talented group of people. Mike Formby is understated. The guy in the yellow lay up here said he's managing director. The role of the managing director is a little bit like being the head coach and the starting quarterback on a football team all at the same time. All of our departments report directly to Michael. And the effectiveness that we've had over the first 3 years that now we've been in office has been in large part driven by Mike and his knowledge and everything else that goes with it. So I'm very proud to have Michael up here. He has me up here with the microphone tonight, but the go-to guy in the city is Formby, just so you know. All right, so just a couple of things. And just, not that we have a lot of ground rules. Actually, we don't have any rules tonight, but I do want to frame it a little bit. We are going to encourage you to come to the microphone and ask us anything you want. We're not filtering anything. We didn't have anybody go through the crowd and say, give us your questions. Somebody on the side reading it going, we'll answer this, we won't answer that. We're prepared up here tonight to try to answer anything that you have on your mind, or anything that's of concern, or something we should know about. Now, just so you know, this is being televised live on Olelo Community Television. But it's also being recorded by us as well, because as part of the follow-up, we want to be sure that we have a chance to go back and look at what got asked, because one of the things I take a lot of pride in from last year is our follow-up on everything was really good. And we want to do the same with this crowd tonight. But that was last year, and this is this year. And a lot has happened in this past year, as we all know. So that's one thing. Secondly, we're not going to stay on one topic too long. I mean, I know the racetrack guys are here. We know that. We know we're going to talk about Makakilo Drive extension. You don't have to hold up that sign. I know we're going to do that, okay? I get it. You know, we know some of the issues. and we're willing to talk about it. I'm not going to turn the whole evening into that. We're here, and the reason why they're here, across the board here, all of the leaders within the city, is to try to get as many questions asked as we can and provide as many answers. And also at the same time, on those topics, make sure we at least provide you with the best answer we can give you to where we are in this moment in time. So to that point, this is important. We're not here to pander, okay? We're not here to do that. We're not here to tell you what you want to hear. To the best of our ability, we'll tell you the truth, which means you can ask the question, but you might not like the answer. And for that, I'll somewhat apologize in advance. We will be civil, and we ask you to be civil as well. But we're here to tell you the truth. At the same time, as I said, a journey of learning, try to learn from you, gain insight from you, okay, on the subjects that you want to discuss. I think that's really fair. We want this to be, by the time we finish at 8:30, and we will finish on time, we won't go longer. We'll stay around afterwards, but I'm going to end it at 8:30. Hopefully this will be a really worthwhile experience for you. That's our intention here, and we want to cover a lot of ground. We're not here to make any speeches, all right? The only other request I have is that there's no need to form a long line, okay? Come up one at a time, stay in your seat, listen to people. We'll get to you. We will get to you. And if we run out of time at 8:30 and you have a pressing question, we'll still be here to answer it. Fair? Because I think that line takes away just that everybody's standing there. Now, even though I've just said that, and even though a bunch of heads have nodded, I know some of you are going to be tempted to do that. Okay? So I'm just telling you, this, you know, because people in the back can't really see and whatever else. Fair? Okay. All right. So with that, let's just kick it off with the first question. Who wants to come up first? Here we go.
So where are we with the racetrack?
Where are we with the racetrack?
Understand it was a location thing?
It's a what?
It was a location thing? We're
Location
trying to find a
thing?
location for it?
Well, I think we need a location, right?
Okay.
That's the issue. So let me just turn it over to Mike here. I'm not here to pass the buck. I want you to hear from, okay?
Thank you, Mayor. And where's Lee? Where's Lee? Raise your hand. Lee. I mean, Lee is the guy that texts me morning to night about the racetrack with photos and proclamations and federal law and state law. He's your biggest advocate. But I keep Lee informed of what we're up to. And last week we had a very important meeting with the Navy. And the reason for that meeting was we've always looked at the BRAC lands, which are the lands that the Navy is going to transfer to the city and county of Honolulu, as the possible potential site for a racetrack. There's 400 acres total, and the 400 acres are split among many parcels. And we tried initially to get the Navy to convey to us some parcels individually, and they didn't want to do that because on a couple of the parcels there are potential toxic chemicals. And so they had to go through a process of disclosing to us what is there. And then our request back to them was, if we take this property from you and those chemicals subsequently end up on what's called CERCLA, which is a toxic chemical list, you will come back if as necessary and remediate or indemnify the city. And they had never done that before. And we asked them to do that for us. And it took about 3 months. And last week they came back with a letter telling the city and county of Honolulu that they would in fact be responsible for PFAS, even if it ends up on the CERCLA list. So that was huge for us. And now we're moving very quickly to take title to the property. Their time frame is April. What we can't control is the Department of Health, because they have to go to the Department of Health first, and the Department of Health has got to sign off on their plan. So as soon as the Department of Health signs off, then we're going to take title. We hope to do that sometime in April. That's very ambitious, but we hope to do it in April. And then there's a couple of things we have to do. When they gave us that letter of indemnity, they also then said we cannot disturb the soil. So before it was the groundwater because of PFAS, and now it's the soil. But what we said to them is that if your intention is to put a racetrack there, that's actually perfect, because we would be capping the soil. And so I think it's going to work out, waiting for the Department of Health. We have to do a soil mitigation plan, and then we have to go back to the Navy and file a new utilization plan, because under the utilization plan filed by the Caldwell administration, there was no racetrack. So we'll go back and we'll amend the utilization plan, we'll put a racetrack in, and then we'll move forward. So I'm encouraged by what happened last week. I hope Lee and the community have heard about this. I think it's a good move for us. The mayor has committed to do everything we can to put a racetrack on that property. We have to get the property before PFAS potentially ends up on the CERCLA list, because if it does, they will not be able to transfer the property to us. So we need to move quickly, and we're going to do our very best, and that's our commitment to you.
All right, Lee, you want to come up?
Now, oh, sorry, I'm already loud as it is. This area that he was talking about, like, keep in mind that it's 400 acres, but the area that's contaminated is 220 acres. Now, I mean, what we're proposing to use for motorsports. But out of the 220 acres, I think it's only 30 that's questionable on the PFAS. Now the PFAS, the reason it's, like my professors say, it's the famous chemical right now. They call it the Kardashian chemical, famous for the wrong reasons. And it's because of the whole Camp Lejeune thing. That chemical is actually the same thing on your nonstick cookware. It's in your ovens, it's in your microwaves, and it's even in your clothes. It was called Scotchgard. Okay, so that's the chemical of concern, but you have to understand the government is very paranoid about stuff like that, because I got a list of all the other stuff that's there. There's arsenic, asbestos, atrazine, chromium, cadmium. I mean, it's like I tell you guys, it's nothing worse than we have in our garages already. Half of all the products that you guys have has that Proposition 65 label on it, right? It says it'll cause cancer. And it's true. I've been in motorsports 45 years. I've had 13 tumors removed, and I'm still here. And, but that's what, please be hopeful. I want to let you know, this is the first time we've had an administration that is supporting this and committed to see it go through. We have never had that before. I was involved in applying for this property when I was working with Jeremy Harris, 1998. And then I went through Mufi. And then I went through Caldwell. Only until this gentleman came along and he looked at it and said, you know what, you're right. And he believes in playing. You know, he's a big George Bernard Shaw fan. And what does he say? We grow old when we stop playing. We don't stop playing because we grow old. And that's this man right here.
Thank you. Is there anything else you want to follow up with?
Do you have the location of this, by the way?
Well, it's in the Bracklands at Kalaeloa. Do we have a specific?
No,
Not a
Kalaeloa.
specific thing, but it's on Kalaeloa.
All right, thank you.
Out here. What? We have maps. Mike's saying we have maps available. We can show you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, Lee has that information, but yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'll go on record here is that we know the Department of Health is an issue. We don't want to get bogged down in bureaucracy either. I think one of the things that our administration has going for us right now is a very good relationship with the governor. He and I talk all the time. On an issue like this, I will push him to push the Department of Health. I don't want to get lost in bureaucracy either. We'll see if we can't play through that part of it. And then beyond that, just so you know, one of the things we learned, come up and I know who's coming up next, and I'm glad you're coming up. Yeah, but one of the things that we learned last year, and Cahill is here representing our Parks and Recreation, but in the 11 town halls across the board, one of the things that really stuck out, we talked about the common denominators, what we heard in each and every community, parks and recreation, every time. Of course, the automobile guys were in 9 of those 11 meetings in full force too, but we know it's a very important thing. And I would tell you, the other thing we've got going for us is the military is really behind this. I don't know if we have any active duty people or personnel in the audience tonight, but they see it really good for their troops as well, and it would be a benefit for them because many of them are motorsports enthusiasts themselves. They're just on assignment. So we got a lot of good mojo going on this, okay? I just want you to know that. Mr. Grace.
Aloha, George Grace. I'm just a nobody with some questions.
and some concerns. First of all, thank you very much in your cabinet, but can we give Lee and Bobby a hand for keeping all of us together in the racing community, giving us hope, giving us hope. There's a lot of them that's not here tonight because they gave up. You kind of really blame them, you know, for all that crap we've been through. But thank you, thank you, Lee, Bobby. Okay, so now I heard some stories on the news about the landfill, and I'm really, really encouraging you. Lock Roger in one room and make him understand waste to energy is what we need. We don't need another landfill. PVT gonna close, Mamanala Gulch gonna close. You guys not gonna be able to handle the abundance of rubbish that's gonna be coming that way. We don't need one landfill. We need waste to energy. How many people here are paying too much for electricity by the hands? Yeah? We need help, Mr. Mayor. You gotta champion this. You gotta be the mayor that
Well,
says.
you gotta come to my office and educate us, because I don't know very much about that.
I got to.
We'll be happy to open to it, but I would tell you, right now, on the schedule of things to get done is finding a site for a landfill.
Yeah.
And we've been at that. I'll be happy to talk about that, but that's not what you want to talk about, so I need to get educated about that.
Yeah.
I would love it if somehow, some way, we didn't have to find another landfill site, because I will tell you, that is an extremely difficult challenge under the circumstances of what's happening. You know all of that, George.
Yeah.
Right?
We don't need to bury no more rubbish.
Yeah.
Let's make some energy out of that.
Okay.
Last, let's see what we can do about our city's toll contract.
I want Kim Hashero, who is right here behind me somewhere, right, to talk a little bit about the towing contract, because when I saw you in the room tonight, I turned to Mike and said, where are we with the towing contract? Okay. George has been very civil. He's come to my office. We've had some good conversations about it. So Kim, here you go.
Hi, thanks for the question. We understand the concern, and we have been actually spending a lot of time reviewing invoices, conducting our own internal audit, and we're looking for a solution because we understand that there's issues with the contract as written now, and so we're working through a process. When we're complete, we will be able to share what the next steps are going to be and what the city is going to do instead, and we'll be happy to share that at that time.
Okay, I don't want to be blunt, but the contract is for 3 years and 2 years is up already. How long more does this take?
Well, we're looking to try to wrap up what we're looking at right now and our review within the next few months. And we would like to be able to announce something and let the public know what's going to be happening soon. It's not going to be a year.
Oh, thank God. I'll be patient, but the mayor and Mike, Krishna, they all know how close to my heart this problem is that needs to be fixed as far as the administration part, as for the public too. Yeah, so I'm not going to lay back and let this thing happen. We have to solve this problem together.
Why don't you educate the audience on what it is you think is the idea?
Well, first of all, I don't want to bring up bad laundry, but the city awarded the contract to a contractor illegally. The property that it's on is not legal the way you guys wrote the contract. The property that the toll contract that the city awarded to the contractor is illegal. It does not pass to get a solid waste permit because I had the property first and the city told me I needed to get a solid waste permit. So if I can't get it, how the next guy got it, right? That's the biggest issue. On top of that, the city is continuously allowing this contractor to continue to contaminate their property, which the city is going to be liable for. So, I'm ready to remedy this problem, to solve it. But because of the mayor, he's not a politician. Yeah, I sat with this man. If anybody want to talk to this mayor, talk to him because he's very easy to talk to. He's one of us. He's just clouded by a lot of crap. And excuse me, but it's just things that he don't know about that's happening. It's happening right in front of him, in front of all of you. And I don't like it as a taxpayer, as a businessman who tries to do things the right way. I get bullied by the city. I'm not gonna let it happen. So please, let's solve this thing before we get to a dark side. We don't need none of that. We got enough problems already.
We're very committed to solving this problem. So thank you for your comments, and we definitely understand the issue with the permit.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, George. I appreciate your candor. You know, I don't know how many of you last week saw the State of the City. It was a week ago tonight. And I talked about our team and what we're committed to. And it's really dealing with a lot of difficult problems, the tough problems, the wicked problems, the problems that people felt could not be solved. We happen to believe they can all be solved. Some will take longer than others. Many have taken decades to get the way they are. And not everything is right. But we operate on a really idealistic plane that if we study a problem hard enough and really understand that, we can develop the right solution. And then, of course, it's up to us to execute. But that's who we are. And we're not shying away. And we've taken on all the tough stuff. So we have a young lady up here. Let's go.
Aloha, everyone. Mr. Mayor. My name is Maria Wilson. I'm very nervous. This is very intimidating. So
You're only on live TV, but I don't want to make anyone nervous.
Don't remind me about that. Well, let me start with, I moved to the islands from Europe 10 years ago to this beautiful island. Thank you for having me. I'm a citizen, a resident of initially Ewa Beach, then Kapolei, and now Makakilo. So I have a collective experience, let's say, of the matters at hand. I'm a mother of a 16-year-old son at Kapolei High School. He's running track, and I'm very proud of him. My main concern is children's safety in general. I lived in Kapolei in the Mahana area. There are a lot of accidents. I do appreciate the crosswalks that are happening. But I believe that all of you understand that this community is growing. Kapolei is called the second Waikiki. It's expanding, but in my belief, the infrastructure is not expanding fast enough to the growth of people. We have a project that is growing across the street just now. A lot of more families going to move here, and a lot of children as well. I have a few bullet points, and I'm really trying to, it's more of bringing it to your attention than asking questions. First of all, Makakilo, I wrote it down. Kapolei Parkway, traffic lights. These children need to cross these streets safely. That's for one. It's not enough safety for these kids. I'm very concerned. When we did live there 4 years ago, it was bad, and I believe it's getting worse. To the point where the intersection by the DMV has been cut off. You cannot cross anymore. Anyways, so there's that. Please, traffic lights, hurry up with that. Lives, are we waiting until somebody's gonna lose a child or a life in general? I hope not. Makakilo Drive, I live up there. It's a racetrack. You asking for a racetrack? Come up there. I'm European, I have a lead foot. I'm not an angel, but there are safety issues. I believe it was repaved and the crosswalks never been repainted. When we moved up to Makakilo, a woman lost her life by crossing the street. And safety, safety, safety. I'm not saying put speed bumps on, but do something. Put up blinking lights, something that is affordable, easy cost, low cost, but effective, right? Those blinkers, you can use solar lights for them to function. All these engineers and fantastic people, I'm sure you will have a solution. I will move on forward to the even more important matters to me as a mother, is community centers for youth. Sir, the Croc Center is helping Kapolei High School and other schools to do aquatic sports, which is great. Thank you so much for Croc Center, if anybody's here from there. But I believe a community center that has extensive resources, such as a pool for competitive swimming, would be great, because I believe that it's not enough money to equip every school with a pool, right? So there's that. But all in all, community centers for youth. So there's so many children here, young adults. The crime rate is getting worse and worse, and that's, you know, it's just the fact. The police at Kapolei High School is here on regular basis. Children no longer just scrap like old school days. They bring brass knuckles and other items to the schools. The HPD is here on regular basis, and it's very intimidating to me as a mother. I'm scared for my son's safety. And I'm very grateful for HPD always being on here, but Kapolei High School is suffering with a lot of students, right? Campbell is also very crowded. But I'm not trying to compete and compare in that way. What I would like to bring to attention is that, once again, infrastructure is, the area is developing and growing, but the infrastructure is not growing with it at the same speed.
When you use the word infrastructure, what is it you mean by infrastructure? Because I can tell you several of us here have our own interpretation of infrastructure.
All right, okay, thank you. I will clarify. To me, it means proper crosswalks, proper lighting, bike lanes, safe enough for students. I know that Ms. Lolita from the school here, she's been fighting to get this intersection light by Kapolei High School, and she got it done, and she's an inspiration. A little bit further down where the little park is across the street, students cross every day, and it's very dangerous, very dangerous. A lot of people stop, but some oversee it. Anyways.
Okay, so.
And again, community centers. Give these children and young adults and teenagers a place to go. And get them off the streets, get them, you know, like, I know that the city has these, for spring break, they have these amazing programs that are free for children, right? Expand that a little bit more. I was always struggling to find something for my son who was above 12 years of age, right?
Yep. Okay.
And my very last subject that is very dear to my heart, my son runs track, and I just started educating myself about how can Kapolei High School get a proper rubberized track field. We currently have only dirt. Campbell High School, where there was an invitational today, they have a rubberized track. Mililani has a rubberized track. Waipahu has a rubberized track. With that being said, sir.
It's not really a city deal, but I'm not going to pass the buck.
Yeah.
But it might be a community deal rather than say it's a state.
And so, because I'm trying to advocate for safety, here's my thing. Kapolei High School has a very huge participation of students from surrounding neighborhoods, such as all the way even to Makaha. And I know that because my son is friends with some people from there. Nanakuli, Waianae, all of that. And these children, the parents work several jobs, both of them. Because Kapolei High School does not have a track, 2 times a week, the high schoolers have to travel to, this year, to Campbell High School to practice on the rubberized track in order to practice to compete. And a lot of children do not have the means to get there. And that is why, and as we all know, the the school buses have been scratched. So now there's that.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for your eloquence. And for somebody who is nervous coming up here, I want to have a couple of people come up and try to address some of it. There's no magic wand on what you've just talked about.
I understand, and thank you so much for your time.
But in the spirit of listening to that, I'm going to ask, first of all, Another person understated up here is Roger Morton, who's our head of transportation services, which is, as he said, the bus, which he ran for more than 4 decades, our handy vans, now the operation of Skyline, but also knows a lot about traffic lights and is responsible. Roger.
Sure. You know, we are putting much more emphasis on traffic and pedestrian safety than we ever have in the department. And I'll cover a couple of things. I know first we do have a couple of traffic signals in your area that are programmed, just getting ready to put in.
Beautiful.
We are working on some, I know there's some sidewalk issues as well, trying to make them safe for our keiki. Most of our priority projects are around schools. That's where we put our emphasis. We have, over the island-wide, we have 800 miles of substandard facilities around schools, and we're trying to prioritize them. We obviously can't do 800 miles in a year, but we're trying to do like 10 or 12 miles per year. We have projects this time. You mentioned the crosswalks as well. One of the reasons that crosswalks have been removed, and they have been removed in several places where there are 4-lane highways, 4-lane roadways. Without some type of protection, our studies, our national studies have shown that unprotected 4-lane crosswalks lead to more injuries than if they're not there. Now when I started, I was just blown away by that and didn't believe it, but I've since gone back and I've looked at the literature and the science, and there's a lot of reasons. Like we could sit down and I could bring out some of the reasons, but what we need to do is we need to protect the crosswalks, and there's several ways we can do that. We can put in center places where people can be, have a place of refuge if they have to. We can make the crosswalks, we can put in raised crosswalks. We can put in better signage. You mentioned better lighting for night. All of those things will contribute to improved pedestrian safety. Those are things that my engineers are out here regularly. I don't know, and if you haven't met them yet, I'll take your name later and we'll even arrange so that you can have a specific discussion with them. They can't do everything, and we are bound by what we call warrants. We follow federal guidelines that are in our manuals over when do we put in one of those blinking lights that you mentioned, when do we put in a traffic signal. All of those are and by the way, there is no cheap anymore. They're all very expensive. But the good news is that we are receiving more federal funds than we ever had in the past, and we're programming these federal funds primarily for safety programs. That's our first one. Last one before I finish here is that we are undertaking a study in collaboration with our state partners at HDOT to look at this region for how can we improve bicycle transportation, whether it is bike lanes, whether it's off-street bike lanes, whether it's connecting up our network all the way from Nanakuli into town. That's a study that we're just starting to undertake right now.
Sir, you're the perfect source. I would like to discuss with you the buses for the students, and since I understand, first of all, will the school buses return to our students?
Well, that's a state DOE issue, but let me just tell you that, with the DOE, when they lost school bus drivers, which caused them to turn to the city.
Maybe those race car drivers can volunteer?
Well, they should, because I'd be happy if we did, but here's what we've done so far. The mayor put me in touch with the superintendent. We set up a special program with DOE. DOE will provide all high school students with a free bus pass.
Yes, sir. In that regard, I must say the bus route that my son would have to take from where we stay until this school would take him an hour and a half to get to the school. So maybe you can implement a few more buses for, better routes.
You're in Makakilo, right?
Yes, sir.
It's a tough place for transit to serve. I know that from my prior job, but here's our results. That we have about 30,000 kids on the island right now that go to high school. We're serving 16,400 of them. That's a little more than half. And I would be very happy if we could get school buses back. I think that what makes the most sense is public transit doesn't work in every neighborhood all the time. But the DOE could prioritize school bus service where it just doesn't make sense to have public buses, but where it does make. They don't have enough to do island-wide, but that's what I would recommend for you to talk to your DOE people about.
I appreciate everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roger.
Can I run?
You can stay if you want, because I think a couple other people are going to address your concerns. One of the things that I failed to mention is that not only is our team here tonight, but they're here to make personal contact too. So after this is finished, you can definitely get a direct phone number, as opposed to I called Honolulu Hale, I called City Hall, and I got lost. This is direct contact. So Roger, this is your new, what's your name?
Maria Wilson.
Maria Wilson. Roger, your new best friend. No, but we'll follow up.
What's good, Roger?
I actually want Diamond Garcia, who actually, Mike told me something went on, and maybe he could report too from the state.
Actually, if I may just chime in, I know that Mrs. Souza submitted a bill that died in the chief of finance office, and I did reach out. I know that you guys returned my call, but I'm just getting started.
Okay.
We're going to get this rubberized track. The public schools need to get their money.
Yeah, but a lot of times though, that can happen in a community too, but there's a lot to that, but go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick update. So just today, House Resolution 45, which I introduced, passed the Transportation Committee, and that resolution called for speed mitigation right here on Kapolei Parkway. Unfortunately, Kapolei Parkway is still under state jurisdiction, so the Department of Transportation, not Roger, but Ed Sniffen, has agreed, and they're supporting that resolution to install raised crosswalks and speed signage, and get that crosswalk. When Kapolei Parkway was repaved, they did not repaint the crosswalk again. So, and you're right, kids cross there every single day. There was a kid 3 weeks ago, young girl, 14, who was hit by a car. So it's time for a crosswalk, and please support House Resolution 45. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah, one other thing, and actually, Kay-How, I'm going to call on you as well as the Deputy Director of our parks. There are a lot of priorities. The city's a very complicated place, and you can imagine that. It's our island. It's city and county. It's not just in the urban core downtown. This is as much a part of that as, but above all, the overarching priority is public safety. And the definition of that comes in many, many ways. All of what you just talked about, Maria, in the spirit of public safety, believe me, is on our radar screen. I'd like Kay-How, if you don't mind, briefly to come up and talk a little bit about the youth centers, because we do have a void there. We recognize it, and it's not just here.
Thank you, Mayor. So, hi. So I did want to share, we call them our recreation centers, where we have maybe multi-purpose buildings, gymnasiums. So the last one that was built, within this community is Ewa Beach. So we have a gymnasium, we have a recreation center there. We also have a rec center up at Makakilo. We have a tiny swimming pool up there as well. But we recognize, and that's something that this administration and Laura has said, is that we've seen the largest population growth here on this side of the island, Ewa, Kapolei, but our facilities haven't necessarily grown over the years, with the people. So some things that we do have going on, I'm looking for Haku because he might be able to help me. So for Kapolei Regional Park, that park was intended to be more developed. And so we are working on a contract to do some outreach with community, because we want to make sure, the plan that we have was from the 90s, I believe. And so the plan is to come and do some community outreach to get input on what we want to develop there. So we're working with the Department of Design and Construction, a contractor, and so that's happening. That's, I don't know, do you know where that contract is right now? But it's going on.
Thank you, Kale. No, yeah, so we are working very closely with the DPR. We're in scoping right now, and so it's really going to take a little bit of planning before we reach out to the community. Your input is going to be very important to figure out what we want in this park and where we want certain things. And so look for that to come out later this year. But we will be reaching out about that. Thanks.
I know she mentioned youth programs, so we do, we have programming that we offer at these centers during the fall and spring. So, go to our website, check it out. It's intersession, so we do have some programming around the island, and in fact, we have a program that's for District 3. So District 3 includes Ewa and the Leeward Coast, but it's called Tomorrow's New Teens, and they're doing a camp out at Kualoa. I believe they're there tonight, right now. So we do have programs. We are wanting to expand and do more leadership development. We had some FRF funding that's helped us to do that. So we are expanding. We want to serve our youth, and we want to do good.
Thank you, Kehao. One of the things about city life or being in the government is people talk in acronyms. So let me just, not to insult anybody, Roger said HDOT. HDOT is the Department of Transportation at the state. Kehao just mentioned, Haku just mentioned DPR, that's Parks and Recreation. We'll try to speak in English so everybody gets it. What? You said, no, he said DPR. You said FRF, Federal Relief Funds, federal government. And as Roger said too, one of the things that we're being challenged by, and it's a good thing, is there are a lot of federal monies available. And historically, the city has not been really aggressive there. We've had a number of meetings with Congressman Case, Senator Schatz, Senator Hirono, and certainly Congressman Takuda about helping us, and they're encouraging us. There's been a lot of money in Washington, and so we're being more aggressive right now at trying to get those kinds of monies for the very reasons that got mentioned here tonight, just so you know.
So aloha, Tara Rojas, and last year I went to your town hall as well, and I was by Zoom, the Ewa Beach Neighborhood Work Committee. Right now I'm here, I'm gonna bring up my issue, but I also wanted just to say I'm also in, right now, the CRI meeting, so if you don't know, this is the DOH with the EPA and the Navy and the Community Representation Initiative right now from 5 to 8. So they're trying to, get the EPA and the Navy to stop kind of pointing fingers to be able to issue a water advisory, because the Navy is saying, no, I'm waiting for the EPA. The EPA is saying, I'm waiting for the Navy. And the thing is that people are still getting sick, and the family that were sick from 2021, going on 2 years, we've been to every town hall, every panel, every meeting, and they are still not getting the answers, nor the help, nor the water that they need. So my issue today that I'm bringing up is our water. So our water, as well as conservation, the corruption, wave pools, and just history. So it's all tied into water. So I just want to start off with that, the county is higher than the state, and that you cannot serve two masters. But anyhow, going back to this, so the water,
I'm sorry, I'm trying to understand what you just said.
Water, that the county has more jurisdiction than the state, that the state.
Okay, I want to be clear in this.
Okay, so the water, as you know, I know we all know, but we have a fresh water and our salt water that creates this whole ecosystem, and it forms the brackish water. So our limo. So our limo, we need it. It's a food source. So what I'm just kind of showing you here, just kind of representation of, using the restroom, number 1, the bottom, like number 2, washing hands after. Like, this is what we're putting out into the water, every day. Okay, so they're visual. I was gonna bring a container full of poke with limo on top. and pour it in, but I was like, yeah, I don't want to, waste the food. So why am I bringing this up? Because in Oahu, as we all know, I didn't know until I saw on a page that they shared the history of kaka'ako. I didn't know. I mean, it would make sense that, all of our waterways are full of limu. So kaka'ako was full of limu. Is there any limu now, and would you eat it? Waikiki, the beaches were full of limu. Is there any now, and would you eat it? Why am I bringing this? Because I'm in the ahupua'a here of Ewa Beach, the motherboard of limu. And our Honolulu ahupua'a is threatened at this moment in the water crisis with the Navy's contamination, in addition to the wave pool. So my question to you, and I want to bring up is, we have that Waikai, that first wave pool. They broke the water table to build that facility. You can go to honouliuliblogspot.com and see the history of the corruption and just the pushing through of development, even when presented with facts by cultural practitioners and the necessary paperwork, pala. And there's a second proposed wave pool, 10 minutes away from the first one, the Honokea wave pool. Now, I'm bringing this in because we need to stop that second wave pool. In addition to, when you do a search online, there's like Surf Lakes LLC by Peter Savio, and in that article it says he actually has planned to put a wave pool on each island, okay? So we have Haseko, which is a company of Waikai. We have Hunt, we have Ho'opili, we have Gentry, and we have HCDA Kalaeloa, in addition to the Kalaeloa Master Plan. So I've been to all of the HCDA meetings, bringing this issue up, bringing the fact that down the road in Kapelina at Iroquois Elementary, that several students were sick, and they are so sensitive that they can tell that the water is still not safe. I participated donated to the water drive there. They're still having issues in Kapelina, as well as outside of the Navy line. So why am I bringing this up again? Because we know the effects of overdevelopment, the limu being decimated. On Hawaii Island, for example, as well, Hilo, 4 Mile Beach, 1,000 levels of bacteria, you can't even swim in there. Kona, there's a sewage lawsuit right now because 1 million gallons of sewage is being pumped into the ocean. In Punaʻu right now, where there's still a current sewage spill, and they're still standing up to protect Punaʻu, that there's a lot of issues happening right now to preserve Hawaii as it was. So my question to you is, Haseko, Hunt, Ho'opili, Gentry, Navy, the Marines, the Army, there's issue with lead contamination in our kai. So our kai, our vai, our Honouliuli ahupua'a, and our Hawaii, we need to stop. When is the people over profit going to prevail? Because I spoke in every meeting and not being listened to. HCDA Kalaeloa just amended the permitting to plan for the 51 cabins that will be part of that second wave of Honolulu.
So look, when you start talking about Apua'as and HCDA, you're talking about the state. So I want,
but I have to bring it to
I heard you. So I couldn't help but notice that Ernie Lau, when he got introduced himself, got a few rounds of applause. You've got the guy on the island to talk about water, and his deputy Irwin is here tonight too. I'm going to turn this over to Ernie right now to address the issues that are relevant to us that we can do something about. Fair?
Right.
Okay.
Yes. And mahalo, and Ernie, I did see your article from the first wave pool where you said it was a sore spot for the community. I know from the last year's town hall you said you were going to watch out for that second wave pool, but there's just overdevelopment, overuse of our water, and I know I spoke with the rep at the Ewa Beach neighborhood board meeting about how you're not to do anything, but again, it's just our water is being compromised. In addition to if you didn't know, in Gentry, there's a 15 million gallon water leak that's been happening every month for the past 5 to 6 years, and they can't find the source of that leak because it's in the private Gentry homes.
Thank you, Tara. You got many questions or points made I just want to say, Olekavai, water is life, and you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. We need to protect the water. And our community depends on the Aina and the Vai being whole and safe. So our approach, Ahupua'a is the right approach toward looking at taking a more holistic approach to water management, management of the lands. For Board of Water Supply, we support the initiatives and direction of the city, especially which I think would articulate the desires and wishes of the community through its development plans. And I don't want to talk about development plans and how to determine where growth occurs, but we are in support of the plans that get approved by the community and the city. One thing you said earlier, that the city is above the state. Actually, it's kind of the opposite. In Hawaii, state government is the superior or higher level of government. And then the state, they created different counties, different jurisdictions. So the county is actually at a second level below the state government. So we have to comply with all the state laws and requirements, and also the county ordinances that get passed by the mayor and the council. So when it comes to wave pools, that's a sore spot for me too. I know we already have a water park that's been around for many years. I've been there myself with my family. The wave pool at Haseko, developed by Haseko, they actually got their water meter 4 years earlier than the wave pool was even thought as a project. So they already had their water meter, and that's one that we encourage them to practice water conservation and to use only what they need and no more. The second wave pool is actually within the Kalaeloa area, which is under the state's jurisdiction. HCDA, Hawaii Community Development Authority for Kalaeloa. And that's on its own private water system that is not served by the Board of Water Supply. I don't have any control over that. One thing that I have, and if there are any developers in the room and they're watching by television, please don't panic, because I think what we need to think about is we need to have places where people can live and thrive in communities. And we need to have affordable housing for our keiki, or they're going to move away. We need to have places for people to live and to thrive and to have community infrastructure. And that does take water resources to do that. So my challenge, and I'll be talking to developers, is can you do more to conserve, to be more efficient on your developments so you use less water? Also in the Ewa community, look at using recycled wastewater. So what Roger would treat at the Honouli'uli wastewater treatment plant, use that for all irrigation within your projects. Use water even on site. Recycle it on site, like gray water reuse, rainwater capture. Although I know I grew up in Ewa and Waipahu, and I know not always having a lot of rain in this area, but capture whatever rainwater and use it on site rather than letting it run off into the storm drains and into the ocean. Treat it as a resource, water of all types. And that's what we at the city are doing. We're taking a one water approach, Tara. So I would challenge our developers, and I'll be talking to them, to do more about using less.
What do we do though when we are listening to the CRI and the fact that we're in the water crisis and that they're still not getting water until we have no water to even use? Then it becomes an issue. So the fact that especially the shoreline, we don't have limu, you don't have an ecosystem, you know, and so what can we do at this?
I can't speak to the limu, and I actually used to pick the limu in Ewa Beach myself when I was growing up with my family.
But we see the effects of the overdevelopment and just the fact that we need our water.
Yeah, I can't talk about limu, I'm sorry. I'm not a limu expert.
Yeah, I spoke to Uncle Wally.
Uncle Wally.
Exactly, but the thing is, things keep getting pushed through, whether on the city, county, private. It's the fact that it's just going to keep going until you get to a lawsuit. For example, what's happening in Kona, and then you can't even swim in the ocean in Hilo, and you have no limu on the beaches here in the Ewa, Waikiki, Kakako, and it just goes on and on. So I've been to I've been to so many meetings, county council meetings, you know, the county level, and we just see the level of non-importance to really preserving what we have.
Mahalo, Tara.
I'm going to say this on behalf of Ernie. Thank you very much. I don't think, as a result of what happened at Red Hill, a city and county anywhere in the United States could have been more proactive, have done more than what this man and our Board of Water Supply has done. So I hear you. I hear that litany of woes, okay? I'm just telling you from an operational standpoint, as Ernie said when he first got up here, water is life. We get it. We get it as well as you get it. And I want you to know that, okay? So I appreciate your words tonight. Not lost on us. I wanted to introduce our host tonight, Randy Gordon, who I finally saw back in the room. Right? Have I get that right? Thank you, Vice Principal here. Did I say it right? Yes. Thank you. You stepped out before. I just wanted to thank you to be able to come to this center here, and that's where we're going to have our meeting. So, sir, you're up next, I think, unless you just want to stretch your legs. But okay.
Hi there, Mayor.
Hi.
I'm Michael Ferreira, and I'm the elected Transportation Chair for Makakilo Kapolei Neighborhood Board. I've worked in civil engineering for the Department of Defense and currently work for the state with certain projects. And I want to thank all of our officials and administrators and our mayor, and especially our constituents from my community who takes the time to come here. I also have one of my committee members, Frank Genadio, I see in the audience. Makakilo Drive is on the second city plan. And if you take a look at the timeline, this isn't a project. I need to get a commitment where we form a partnership. We got together a few months ago. You went out and took a look.
I remember you very well. I certainly remember Frank. I was pleased to see him in the audience tonight. Hello, Frank.
And he's been working on this, well, since
I think we have a commitment. I think that we need to buy Grace Pacific Road and fix it up, okay? That's what we have to do to make that access, because it looks like the bridge is not feasible, the fill is not feasible. I've looked at the background, the history on this for probably the last 15 or 16 or 18 years. This predates us. We need to do something on a going forward basis. We understand what Lahaina represented, the concerns that people had before have now been highlighted. And the only remedy I see in the offering, I thought that Councilmember Topolo was going to be here tonight. Oh, she is here. Great. Andrea, we asked you if you'd just to be here as a resource if we need it, because I missed her earlier. Because we've talked about this. We know we need to do something.
Well, the fill plan with the SHPD, that's a state agency. We're working on projects right now where there's ditches all over this island, and projects are being done. The SHPD is providing the approvals for us to be able to do these projects. And so when we say we hit a bump because of cultural artifacts and things like that up there, and that's going to stop the project, one of the things that I'm finding that we don't have that I thought we had was a project manager. And when I thought RM Towell was the one who was kind of running this and had an end game and that type of thing, we don't have an end game. And looking at the timeline and all the shuffling and things like that, I want to see a 36-month plan where we get an anchor agency to steer this. We need a project manager. The need is there. I've got 20,000 people living up on the hill, and most residents agree. And the neighborhood board needs a rep to come out to our meetings and give us a progress on a regular basis.
Okay.
Those are just some things that this just keeps getting, the can keeps getting kicked down the road. And it's time. It's really time. And I keep getting elected by my neighbors here because they expect me to go out and be able to get things done. And I'm a volunteer. I get that. I advise the city council and you and everybody else.
Right.
But I'm kind of their voice. They come out here tonight, and in the meantime, I go on Nextdoor and things like that and read up on everything that everybody's frustrated about. I bought my house 23 years ago and was told once they get built out they're going to put the extension through.
Yeah.
They had to redesign it, and now they're saying that the fill is interrupting some cultural piece, which I have great respect for. We work with that all the time. Sam's Club and Walmart downtown is built on a cemetery. I mean, so these things can get done. It's just that, you know, listening to ambulances and things like that, there's people having heart attacks, strokes. If they can save a mile coming up the backside of Makakilo Drive, if the water main breaks going down Makakilo Drive and people can go out and come in another way.
We get it. We understand.
In the meantime, I'm watching the road getting extended from Target out to Ko'olina, and the people of Ko'olina don't really want that much access. And I'll cut it on that. The other thing is speed mitigation for the area, Makakilo Drive. Not a lot of people agree with me on speed tables and rumble strips. Enforcement, we had a neighborhood board meeting, and the next day we had a radar trailer out on Makakilo Drive. Well, we need a radar trailer, and we need grant money or something for a radar trailer that has the kind of hose that goes out that counts the traffic, tells us when the traffic is the heaviest, tells us how fast each car is doing. I used to be a police officer on the mainland, and I started off towing one of those things around and setting them up all over town.
They're good.
And we just don't have that kind of equipment here. And the thing that they do have kind of tells people, hey, you're speeding, have a nice day, slow down. But we don't have anything that collects data, and we don't have anything that, you know, and I'm sure Roger Morton, you know, knows of that, and he works off of data. He's an engineer. That's what they understand. But they took out our crosswalks, and I think, and this is my opinion, that the complete streets plan has failed. West Verstacke, that was his thing, and he said, well, because nobody's using them, we're going to take them out. It just doesn't make sense. There's been several people killed trying to cross the street, and I go down that hill, and sometimes I'm not necessarily doing the speed limit, but I see kids standing on the center divide, and they're not going to go all the way up to a traffic light to cross the street. I just wanted to go on record tonight in front of God and everybody here as one little guy from this community, because this town hall is serving this community. You guys are going to serve another community next week. I have a city representative, Andrea Topolo. She's fighting like crazy trying to get up to speed and get into this. And we've been working with you, and I see a lot of her action is getting us ahead, but we need to have a person that answers to this project. And my thing is if we don't have a project manager, we don't have a project. I don't get projects done at the state having nobody running it. You know, the north-south road, when they wanted to put it in, it got put in. There's money sitting there to connect to Makakilo Drive. When we do it, I even suggested that we give the project to the state so that north-south road will go up to Makakilo Drive and is paid for by the state, and Makakilo Drive can continue to be the city. I've tried to think of everything I can.
All right, so let's try to give you some feedback on that, and I hear you. Again, it's all been recorded. We'll look into the project manager. I know that Mike, is there anything you want to say about this? Or read with Roger? And Andrea, I would, based on our conversation today, would love to hear from you as well.
See, and Mike, he's been working with us since both him and I had brown hair.
That's right. In fact, you know that I was the director of DTS when we did the design study, and the money was beyond our capacity for the bridge. And then we went back and redesigned for the fill. So we don't deny the community's desire for the bypass. We understand that. But I think we've had a very honest conversation with Frank and you and others up on the Hill about what it takes to get that project federally funded. It takes getting it back on the tip, which is a constrained document. You have to get it back on the tip. And to get it back on the tip, it takes working with the state and the county, because you got to get the votes. Right. And one side can't vote to put it on the tip alone. It takes both, which means it takes DOT and it takes DTS. And I get it. You guys are frustrated. I understand that. What we're doing in the interim, while you continue to work to get it on the tip, is look for an emergency access route using the existing road that will help the community in the event of, God forbid, in the event of a fire or a disaster. And then possibly even, we've talked to Councilmember Topola about this today, possibly even acquiring that dirt roadway from who owns Grace Pacific now, to see if we can use that to somehow move forward. But you know, we're not here telling you that you don't deserve the bypass. We're telling you that there's a process to get it, and we can help you, but city alone cannot vote for that. It takes both the state and the city. So Andrea Topola might want to make a comment, and then I think Roger Morton has more to offer than I could.
Well, we do have a meeting with the council member coming up. I can't remember the date, Andrea, but we do have a traffic mitigation meeting that our staff has set up with you. The Makakilo Drive extension predates me for sure. I have driven up the Grace Pacific roadway. It's not a difficult roadway to traverse as it stands right now. It's very easy. So I think in the short term, that's a good solution. We're looking around the island at emergency access routes in collaboration with our friends from emergency management. There are numerous communities where we need to do that. In Makakilo, at least we've identified what we think is a feasible alternative for that. That's not what the community wants. They want an access down, a different access down. That's what I hear from many community members. I know Frank has been doing this for probably 30 years or so for doing that, and I know Frank from many years ago too. So to do that, this was removed. It was on the tip at one point. I think it was removed in the 2011, 2014 timeframe. At that time, we prioritized the widening of Kamehameha Highway. Farrington Highway, and also the widening of Salt Lake, which are not inconsequential. They're $100 million plus projects that we're doing. So the city does not have the resources to do Makakilo without the injection of federal funds. There are federal funds available. There are lots of projects. They need to be prioritized if we were to do anything like that. And the costs do keep going up. I know the estimate was probably back in 2018, 2019, I think the estimate for construction was probably 60 million.
60 million.
That did not include designing. It didn't include planning. It didn't include land acquisition. It's construction only, and it was a ballpark engineer's number really at that too, because it's a pretty substantial bridge or fill option if we were to do one of those two things. But as the managing director said, that we haven't, but the Makakilo Drive extension remains on the long range plan at UMPO. It's not on the short range plan, which is a 4-year plan, the TIP plan. But in order to get on the plan, the way it works is that all the policymakers, we know how much money that we can estimate are going to come in through our federal sources, through our county taxes, through our state taxes, and that's a known number. And then within that number, the tip is, managing director said, it has to be fiscally constrained, so all the projects cannot exceed what the estimate of the amount of money that comes in is. That's what's called fiscal constraint, and that's not to say that it won't be done forever. I think at the beginning, it was really the developers who should have put this road in, but it was not done that way.
Well, and they got off the hook for it too.
Yeah, I can't speak to that. I think that was back in the 2000 time frame. But we are where we're at right now, and I hear what you guys are saying.
Well, and plus too, there's never been a time when we've had this kind of money available from the feds. We've got this Build Back Better policy going on, and we're seeing projects around the island saying this is where the money came from. And I can't think of another time that we could get this done, except for now when the Fed is putting up this much money. So,
well, we won't speak for them. Is anyone here from congressional offices? See, that's what I'm saying. So that's what we need. I think nobody can feel the pain of the west side like people from the west side. I'm just saying, we have roads that are close to us. We have no access roads. So this is a sheet, the same one that he has. But basically, we had a town hall about the Makakilo Drive extension, and I just summarized it into one page. So you could see the timeline. So the funding for the bridge option, or the estimate, was 95 million. And the estimate for the fill option was 60 million. Then they went to a wall option, but that's when they found a piece of the Waiahole ditch. So for those of you who are like old school in that area, that Waiahole ditch used to bring water down right where the quarry is right now. So once they found that piece, then there was no filling it in. The Native Hawaiian organization that stepped forward wanted to preserve it. SHPD didn't want it to happen, so that's how it all kind of died. Long story short, the 3 parts that I put on the back of this were the possible paths forward. So one possible path, having an emergency access road through Pueonani, which is a parallel street to Makakilo Drive and connects up with Grace Pacific. Second possible path, the Grace Pacific Road could be acquired, and then it could be permanently open, which only takes about 8 minutes to get from there to the freeway. The third path would be try to fight to get it back on the stip tip. So can you raise your hand if you'd like a copy of this? Okay, so I'm gonna start passing this out to everybody. But long story short, no matter what part you live in my district, we need emergency access routes. That's what everyone deserves. You deserve to be safe in your own community, and we're gonna fight for that. So thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have only 35 minutes left. I came at the outset, time goes by fast. We want to handle a lot of things. So I'm going to ask anybody coming up, we just try to keep the topics brief so we can get in as many as possible, okay? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mara Hansen, and I am here with a few issues of concern too. I came to address some of the things that Maria already covered, because I also live up in Makakilo, and daily I nearly get hit by cars because I live on a street at the bottom of a gulch, right before a bridge.
Okay.
And so I've got traffic coming downhill both ways. It's 25 miles per hour because there are driveways and condo complexes that go right onto the street. But it's 2 lanes with no parking on, going each direction, with no parking on the side. So does that say 25 miles per hour to you, especially when you're going downhill? It doesn't. There's no marked crosswalks either. This same issue is actually true out here on Kapolei Parkway. Our roads don't look like they're 25 or 35 mile per hour roads. You need to restripe them. Palahia and Makakilo could each be 1 lane, except maybe during contraflow times, with bus cutouts and bike lanes. And now you visually have a road that looks like it's 25 or 35 mile per hour road. So I think that's the cheapest way to go. You don't have to put in speed humps, but if you do, please put 2 on Palahia at near the midpoint heading towards the gulch. Please, thank you, I'd like to live.
Thank you.
2, animal cruelty. We have no prosecutions for animal cruelty. There's animal cruelty happening. The state is trying to pass higher penalties for animal cruelty issues. I happen to voluntarily admin or moderate 4 different lost and found pet pages on Facebook for our state. I see the issues all the time. There was a dog that was shot with BB guns by a kid's friend who came over, shot the dog in secret, took $7,000 of veterinary care to save that dog.
So, okay, look.
Never prosecuted.
That has my heart, believe me. But what do you expect us to do about that? You're talking to city and county right now.
Right.
So,
the
so what-
police have to investigate, and the prosecutor's office has to prosecute. If they don't do either of those things, either of those don't happen, then the prosecution doesn't happen. And here's why it's important. Here's why it's important. It's a known connection between animal cruelty and later cruelty to humans like children and elderly.
Okay.
So you can stop these mass murderers. You can stop these sickos. If you catch them when they're killing a cat or shooting a dog with a BB gun.
I have real contempt for that. I hear you. I'm
So-
just not sure. I don't know if Roddy, you want to say anything about that. Come on up. But I look, I live with a little 6-pound dog who had no teeth, rescue dog that nobody wanted, okay? And he's changed my wife's life. She's a different person, okay? I get it. I understand the profundity of what you're saying and the cruelty. I'm not sure what we can do, so I'll ask.
Hi, thank you for that question. I agree. We shouldn't be hurting animals. That's not acceptable behavior. I would ask that if you see that type of behavior, Obviously, anybody know what to do if you see someone hurting an animal? Call 911. I guarantee you, if you tell our officers what happened, they will make the case. What happens after that, though, is a little bit out of our control. We'll send it to the prosecutor's office. I don't know the stats. Maybe forward your question to them, ask them, tell them, hey, I'm concerned. We see this going on. What are you guys doing
They
about it?
point to you. And
Really?
I'm bringing this up because
okay.
I
Sorry.
actually also sign wave with Hina's Legacy. And
Okay.
the woman who started Hina's Legacy started it because of the little dog that
Sorry,
she
what is
found.
Hina's Legacy? I'm not
Hina's
familiar
Legacy.
with- I'm not
It's a
familiar
group
with
that saves dogs, but they also petition for animal cruelty laws to be enforced. And it all started because this woman found a dog that she was trying to rescue, dead and strung up by its paw on a bridge near her house. And the police told her, even though the carcass was hanging there and the strap that was holding the dog up, they said, oh, there's no evidence. How are we going to prosecute this? There's no evidence.
That sounds a little strange.
And that's when she started her organization. So hold on, I
Okay.
gotta, so that you can address all my concerns.
Sure.
Because another concern I have, we've got a lot of vagrancy here in Kapolei lately. And it all started when downtown police office was getting renovations to the holding cells. You guys transferred a bunch of criminals and vagrants out here to hold them. Fine, that's understandable. But then you just let them out the front door of Kapolei, sometimes with no money to even have a bus ride back to town where they have services they don't have out here. And a woman got killed on the front steps of Kapolei Police Department. Why do you not at least take them back near where you found them, where they can access their resources and where they belong, because they have a network there? We are seeing a lot of vagrancy and a lot of crime. And last night there was a meeting pointing the finger at retailers out here. It's not their job to get those criminals and those vagrants back to the resources. They're not the city. And there's one last thing, and then you can address all my issues all at once, and I'll be out your way. So the lady who said that about recreation centers, this is also going back to Maria's points. I wanted to echo you because you had great points. So recreation centers, you said we're the fastest growing area in the state pretty much. And we have one little pool, and the next closest pool is Waikele, and Westside has nothing. Yet, my sister-in-law lives in Manoa, and she's got a pool in her community open 7 days a week, almost all day. Makakilo pool is open 4 days a week for a couple of hours at a time. This isn't fair and equitable distribution of the funding, so something needs to happen. Dave up here at Makakilo Park, he gets 125 spots for summer fun. You think there's only 125 kids on that hill that want to be in summer fun? When you had to stand in line in person, people would come at 4 o'clock in the afternoon the night before and stay there all night, taking turns with their spouse. I'll take 4 hours, then you come, I'll go home, sleep 4 hours, just to get one of those 125 spots. People are also registering their kids from Waianae and stuff to our area. Get us more resources for it. Distribute it more equitably. That's all I'm asking. Okay, now.
All right, let me introduce. This is Major Gail Beckley. She's in charge of this area. She's familiar, I'm sure, with some of these issues that you're talking about, so let me have her address some of those for you.
Total animal lover, so I hear you on that, but I just wanted to help out the chief here in regards to that particular case that you're talking about. We did make a cruelty to animal case. We definitely wouldn't say, you know, we don't have any proof, but it is a hard case. That particular case is a hard case to prove without physical or witness kind of evidence. And in regards to that pellet gun case that happened here in Ewa Beach, we did make an arrest with that case was forwarded to the prosecutor's office. So that particular case that you saw over social media with that poor dog got hit with all that pellets, we did make an arrest on that. So just want to help the chief out here.
Okay.
Excellent, thank you. I just want to point out, you hear a lot of the news about crime going up and officers, we need more officers, we have all of these vacancies. But I do want to let you know that despite all of that you hear, And I live in this area too. It wasn't too long ago when I was on the road. You know, I have 4 stars, but I was a beat officer, I was a sergeant, used to work out this area. But our officers take a lot of pride in everything that they do. And we realize that this is our community too. I live in Kapolei. I've lived here for the past 25 years. My kid, I used to coach out here. I coach Pop Warner. I coach flag football. So keeping the community, for me, is something that's super important. Gail lives out in Waianae. She lives in the area that she's in charge of. We have personal connections. And I can tell you, it doesn't matter that we're 400 short or whatever. We're going to do what it takes to make sure that we keep everyone safe, because that's our commitment. That's in Chief Joe Logan. That's in his strategic plan. And I guarantee you that if someone calls 911 and we don't do what we're supposed to do, let us know, because we want to know, because we want to make sure we address that. That's unacceptable. It did surprise me a little bit to hear that, you said an officer wouldn't do something for you. There are certain things we cannot do. We cannot solve everyone's problems, but we do want to make sure that we are doing our best to make sure, because like the mayor said, that's a high priority, is public safety. And we're the tip of the spear for that, and we understand that. We're going to continue to do what we need to do to make sure all of you are safe, all of your families are safe, all of your children are safe. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Chief. Stay. So, but before I bring you up, Roger, real quick, because I want Roger to address part of your first stuff you said, but Krista, who's the Deputy Managing Director, came up to me and said, this is the benefit of coming to tonight. We're going to put you directly in touch with the right person in the prosecutor's office.
Okay.
Let's make that contact at that level. Because I can tell you, there's 3 elements. HPD does their job, then we got the prosecutor's office, what goes on there, and then you have the judiciary. It's much more complicated than I thought, but talking to the prosecutors to make sure the follow-up at least gets to the point where you start not talking about crime and punishment is really important. We'll do that. Roger has a few things he wants to say about the front part.
I couldn't agree more with what your comments were, that we can do an awful lot with just paint to make our streets safer. And I've had many successfuls around the island where we've done that. But I also got to say, you got to approach this with your eyes wide. We have designed projects like you have in some neighborhoods, but they haven't been popular with residents. And that's it's easy to think that you have the best plan in the world, but we take them to the neighborhood boards, we discuss them, they don't always work. And I just put that out there. I'm all for paint. And I think we can do an awful lot for safety. I think many of our roads, we can do a better job of configuring them than they are now, and we can drive the speeds down through just common sense things, putting in parking lanes, putting in turning lanes in the middle of the street. There's many things in our toolbox that we can do. My only caution is, in the years that I haven't been with doing this for an awful long time. I've been in this business a long time, but I have already gone to neighborhoods where we thought we had a great plan, where we've had to pull in our horns a little bit because we ran into too much opposition in the plans. Thank you.
Understood. But my theory on it is then you still have the emergency access. You still have 2 lanes of roadway, but just paint in the way. So.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Sir.
Good evening. Mayor, my name is Dr. Keone Dudley. I want to talk to you about, first of all, I just want to say you're doing a great job, and you've got so many concerns now, and you're doing so much on housing, and all of these things are wonderful. But I want to bring one new thing into the discussion.
I didn't think there was anything new. I thought we had, go ahead, one more, but go ahead.
Okay, it's hurricanes.
Yeah.
People, we've never had a hurricane on Oahu. We never have had hit the island head on.
Well, I remember some pretty bad weather during Eva and Aniki. I can remember that pretty vividly, both of them, but go ahead.
When, right now, what we've got over in the area by Mexico is that the spawning area for hurricanes is moving northward with the warming seas. And so, because of that, the hurricanes that used to cross the Pacific a couple hundred miles below us, now that the spawning area has moved north, they're headed directly at us.
Yeah.
And I've been working with Hiro Toya over here, but you know, I want to make people really aware that we don't have any hurricane shelters. You know, we have a very, very few at all that will satisfy more than a Category 2 hurricane. They're saying, and our big problem is that the hurricanes are getting stronger and stronger. In the last 30 years, the Category 4 and 5 has doubled. We're now getting, once every 8 years, we get a major hurricane that has 200-mile-an-hour winds. They're saying that by the end of the century, we're going to have one of those huge hurricanes every year. They're saying they're going to be in the Pacific. That's where they're, and that's our area. All of these things are coming, and we're just not prepared. We have 187,000 wooden houses. In a Category 1, many of those will be destroyed. Most of them will have harm to them.
Right.
You know, and we've got to get the city, the state, the Congress, everybody working together.
You know, and Dr. Dudley, I'm familiar with you. What is it you would do if you were in charge? You got 187,000 homes, and half of those homes, people are living paycheck to paycheck. What are you going to do? You knock down those houses and build some? What would you do under the circumstances? We are vulnerable in this world today as island dwellers with rising sea level, hurricanes shifting north, et cetera, et cetera. That's why there's an Office of Climate Change, Sustainability, and Resilience. Matt Gonza and Hiro, very brilliant young guys. There are things we're living with right now that we just have to hope that what you're describing doesn't happen, because I don't know how we could possibly protect ourselves to the extent of what we're up against in reasonable time, to be perfectly candid with you. It is something I think a lot about, because there isn't a day that goes by that we're not watching a wildfire somewhere in the world, certainly somewhere in the United States, unprecedented, burning down unbelievable acres. We've seen storms and hurricanes and disasters. And I'm an old television guy. I've watched so many newscasts with people standing there saying, I lived here all my life and I never saw this before, ever. That's the world we're in right now. So I hear what you're saying. We want to do whatever we can, but some of this stuff is, well, first of all, it transcends anything in our ability as a city and county. I think we're trying to do what we can do in the way of education or whatever. But there's no question, against these elements, we're pretty vulnerable. And I feel very good in our first responders. I thought what happened in Mililani with the fires late last year was brilliant, what our fire department was able to do, incorporating, coordinating with the military and our ability to deal with that fire and what they contained that. But boy, there's some things out there we just have to pray don't happen right now, forever. I don't know how else I could say that to you. We are sitting in the middle of the ocean. I can tell you stories from my years of sitting at Hawaii News Now watching Doppler radar screens on hurricanes coming here that got distracted or detoured, that we were headed for devastation, especially the March 11th one, what happened to tsunami. So we don't have an answer. I wish I could give you an answer. Hiro, if there's something you want to say, or anybody else on our team about this, I'm not a doomsday guy. I'm just trying to be a realist right now on what we can do. Hiro.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm the doomsday guy. So, Dr. Dudley, thank you for being here tonight. And you are correct. Oahu has not been directly hit by a hurricane in recorded history. And those numbers are really daunting. I think our estimate is that 64% of single-family homes on Oahu lack any kind of hurricane wind protection. So I think really I appreciate what you've been doing for as long as I've known you. you've been trying to bring awareness to this issue. I think that's the first step, is for us to understand what we're dealing with, not only within government, but for the general public too, and the audience here, to really understand the risks that we're facing. There's no magic bullet here, right? I wish there was. But one of the things that the city's embarking on right now, in collaboration between Matt's office and my office, and also with all the city departments, is the update to our local hazard mitigation plan. And we're not going to fix anything overnight. Like Mayor said, we got to pray that nothing bad happens, because if we have a major hurricane directly hit Oahu, there's really no way that we're going to respond our way out of that. We really have to mitigate the impacts ahead of time, and that means enhancing building codes. That involves DPP, ensuring that incrementally we're making improvements while considering the fact that there is an affordable housing shortage here, right? Also ensuring that our city infrastructure, the wastewater infrastructure, the water infrastructure, our transportation networks, everything is built stronger so that it can withstand impacts. Same thing with all of our facilities. For any new construction, we need to ensure that they're built stronger than they have been before, because what has served us up to this point is no longer enough. We're dealing with a new reality here. So your point about hurricane shelters, definitely something that's close to my heart, and it's really been a challenge for us. We have what we have in terms of our public buildings that we can offer to the public. So to the extent that we can identify the best ones out of those, and in fact this school is actually one of those facilities that's been identified as one of the best available refuge areas for our community. We don't have enough of these. It's also exceedingly difficult for us to work with DOE for the retrofit of these, because we have to consider the fact that education can't stop while we're trying to retrofit buildings, right? So there's a very narrow window of time in which these retrofits can happen. So that's not to say that we shouldn't do this. We got to continue to do this now. So we continue to work with the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency at the state, and they do have funds appropriated to them through the state legislature annually. But again, that alone is not going to be sufficient, right? I think somebody's been quoted saying we're not going to retrofit our way out of this problem. So it takes all these different elements. So building codes, new construction, retrofits, and also for those who can, not everybody's going to be able to do this, but for those who can, to take action for their own homes, to do retrofits to their own homes, add hurricane clips if you don't already have them, figure out window protection. I think you've been working with Dennis Wong from UHC grant to work on your own home as well. But really the awareness, I think, is the first step amongst all of us here at the city and county of Honolulu, also at the state level, and also for the general public. So, that's it for me.
I just do want to say that today I've been working with Luke Myers, who's the new whatever.
Luke moved over. Yes.
And he's aware of billions of dollars that are available in different places that we could capitalize on. I'm just saying we need the city, the county, and the federal to begin to work together.
Yes, we need all to come together. And please don't get me wrong. It's not like we do nothing. I think Hero could go on. Certainly, if I brought Matt up here, he could go on. And the different things we're doing. And it's just, it's coming at us very fast in the area of the natural stuff that we're dealing with. We're seeing it all over. And I'm just trying to be a realist about what we can possibly do and not try to deceive somebody. But we're really aware of that.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
And I appreciate all the work you're doing.
Thank you.
I sincerely mean that. Sir. We've got 12 minutes left.
This is going to be real fast.
Okay.
Jim Souza from 808 Off-Road Racing. This is not a racetrack
It's okay,
question.
Jimmy, go ahead.
You guys already answered a question, and I applaud you and Mike for pushing this thing through.
Thank
But my question is, I work on heavy equipment, commercial vehicles, and automobiles too. And my question is pertaining to the DMV for registration. Now, I get plenty of customers that they have vehicles like tractors, semis that have been in storage, and they want to bring it back in service.
Oh, yeah.
And the license plates, they got to pay the back tax.
Right.
Now, I heard about 8 months ago that you guys was putting one bill together to waive that again.
That's news to me.
Is that a rumor, or is that true?
that may be more of a rumor.
Because several years ago, we didn't have to pay. I mean, you can bring a vehicle out and pay the current. And then they went back to the old.
I'm going to let Kim handle this, but just so you know, I do a weekly radio show called Ask the Mayor with Rick Blangiardi. I've been asked this question a lot.
There you go. Yeah.
From a lot of people. So I feel like I could just, but we have the benefit of
I'm sure there's a lot of people in here running without registration right now. Tell you that.
Okay. Yeah, we don't want that for sure. So, you know, right now, the recourse for someone who has not put their vehicle into storage, because when you do that, you have to be paid up, right?
Yeah, you surrender the plates.
Surrender the plates, right? Officially put it off-road where you're not utilizing the vehicle.
Yeah.
To take it back out, you know, it needs to go through safety check, and you need to, okay. So for anyone that has not paid back taxes, the only recourse is to go to court, right? File an appeal, and only a judge can waive that right now.
Okay.
So that is what we have told, you know, countless customers who have asked about that. So yeah, I'm not aware of anything that is, we have not submitted any proposal.
Yeah, I was told that there was a bill being proposed a while ago and it hadn't been signed, so.
Yeah, I'm not aware of anything, and the city has not proposed that. We're not aware of anything at the legislature either.
Because I got a lot of customers that, you know, they have semis and stuff like that, that trailers that wasn't registered, but nowadays the equipment is so expensive, so they want to bring it back on the road. But when they find out what the tax costs, you know.
Right. And what we don't
and then it ends up on the road, and then George got to probably go pick it up with his tow truck. You know, it's double job. So.
Yeah. So it is the registration cost, right, is not only a city tax, but it is also state, right? And so it's a combined based on weight. So it is currently based on, you know, the expectation that there's wear and tear on the roads, and so that needs to be, you know, paid for by those who utilize vehicles on the roads. What has been proposed is various, you know, formats of that, especially for electric vehicles, right, where they're looking at, right now there's a EV annual fee of $50 that's added to your registration. But there's different formats that are, you know, being considered now. But what I ask, you know, of the public is, if you do have a vehicle that is not paid up in terms of registration, please, you know, contact our office. We also have information on our website at honolulu.gov/CSD in terms of being able to file an appeal and actually resolving that situation and not letting it continue. Indefinite.
So you'd have to go to court.
Yes.
Take that to court. Okay. So there's no bill or something.
No magical.
That's my question.
Yeah, waiving it.
So now when they ask me, I can tell them. Got it from the source.
Remember what I told you, Jimmy? You could ask anything at the beginning of the night. You just might not like what you hear. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Once again, thank you so much for pushing this thing through, Mike.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You're welcome, sir.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you all for coming out.
Thank you.
Thank you for reminding me I'm on live TV. We're still opposed to that cluster unit on Pohakupuna Road in Ewa Beach.
Oh, yeah.
Strongly, you remember who I am.
I remember who you are.
Hi, Don. Yeah, I want to thank you for asking the DPP to answer our questions last year. I just want to say that Director Apuna and an urban planner, Laura, their professionalism is second to none.
Thank you.
They really helped us. Our neighborhood is not opposed to development of that lot. We're opposed to that development.
Yep.
You know, we have sent a lot of information to you. I'm not going to read this whole thing. We'll be way out of time. But you know, thank you for listening to us.
Okay, no, you're more than welcome. And I went out there and saw it firsthand. I understand, and I think we'll just leave it at that. And then, you know, Dawn's here. You should at least make contact with her tonight, before, if you haven't already.
No, she's been a great help. They've been wonderful.
thank you. Yep,
Well,
thank you.
thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
Oh, for the community, I have been in touch with Earth Justice, and they recommend that we get our own experts. I showed them like the traffic report and the potential flooding, and the hydrologist was quite concerned about it. So where's Mana? He left?
Mana was here, I think he left.
Yeah, we need to cut in on his huli chicken action to raise some money.
Okay.
We have to hire, so thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anyone else? You want to come up? Come on, I'll give you a second chance. We got 5 minutes left, and you were very, very good before, so.
Well, I just wanted to follow up on Dr. Dudley. And a while back, maybe a couple of years ago, I had a bill introduced for the Kalaeloa Tower. Kalaeloa is supposed to be the backup during a disaster for HNL. The tower that's there now is a World War II tower. Our Air National Guard mans it from 6 in the morning to 10 p.m. It's operating on waivers right now because the condition of it is so bad. And the Coast Guard is operating on their own going in and out of it because it's not an instrument-rated airport. And Mazie Hirono had worked on it in 2007 to get funding to build a new tower out there. And of course, we hit the recession and the funding fell apart. And in speaking to her a couple of years ago, she said it's something that could definitely be done. It's just that we have to go towards it. And I think that if HNL was ever taken out of service, or if we had a disaster, we would need the added capacity of this airport to bring in supplies and things like that. But that tower out there it's done. It's a World War II tower. They can't even see over the tops of the hangars. But that was a follow-up to his. And I think that's something that I think probably it works at a state level, but we have to be aware of it at the city and county level that we need a new tower.
We are aware of that, and yeah, it's a federal and a state, and perhaps whatever the county can do. Yeah, you know, to your point about wanting a point persons, projects like that need a champion. That's what they really do. So, you look like such a champion to me. You know, yeah, you need to do that. I'm telling you, just to answer that straight. There's one of the things you get in touch with in this role, and I speak for all of our team, is issues like this, and so much to be done, and stuff that should have been done and hasn't been done, and you can't wave a magic wand, especially in today's world. So sessions like tonight are very helpful for us, and I can promise each and every one of you the things that got set up here tonight, if you're expecting follow-up, there will be follow-up, and we'll do the best that we possibly can. The kinds of stuff, though, right now that Dr. Dudley's talking about, whatever, the kind of stuff, if somebody were to say to me, what keeps you up at night? This is the kind of stuff you think about. When we talk in the context of public safety being the overarching priority, it's not just about the cops catching the bad guys. It's about stuff like this. And so, you know, I don't, and I, again, don't want to be deceptive. We just look at the scale of things.
Right.
And it's unbelievably significant, and so that's where we are.
And I work for the 154th, and I work for the DOD, and those guys out there do an incredible job. And what's going to end up happening is that the Air National Guard is going to end up taking them out of that tower because of the condition of it, and they won't be able to serve here. They'll end up moving the squadron to the Big Island, and we don't want to have that happen. And what we did do is we helped them in setting up their emergency air traffic control that they would use in a combat situation to actually set it up at Kalaeloa in case it was ever needed, and they've got that equipment. So I'll keep on going and trying to get the bill introduced again.
Okay.
But that was just something I wanted to bring awareness to since he was talking about disaster.
I appreciate
Thank
it,
you very
Dr.
much.
I'm going to wrap this, Dr. Dudley, if it's okay with you, and then we're going to stick around for a little bit. Look, I just want to thank all of you for coming tonight. As you could tell, it's a pretty fast 2 hours. I started out telling you we want this and hope it would be a worthwhile experience for you. And we will follow up, as I just said. And the other thing I want to say, I wasn't even planning on saying, but it sort of came to pass, if you will, when we were in office and we started coming out to the west side, and people were thinking, wow, we didn't know you cared, if you will. I would tell you, we've made a really concerted effort on everything we're doing out here on the west side. And even though Honolulu Holly's in town, and we have, you know, we have our city hall out here, you know, at Kapolei, we're treating everybody with the kind of equity and sense of fairness in our thinking and our planning throughout all 9 council districts, but especially our sensitivity to the west side, because we know that it's been underserved in a lot of ways. Last week in the State of the City address, I pointed that out on a number of different things that we're doing. So please know your voices matter, this place matters, you matter, and we're proud of all of you and thankful you care so much about your community that you come here tonight. Thank you for being here. God bless.